Indian Air Force's 114 MRFA is one of the biggest defense deals, not just in Indian military history, but across the world. According to reports, Airbus is taking a massive gamble on India by throwing in the Eurofighter Typhoon into the ring for the 114 fighter jet IAF contract. It can fly at Mach 2 and can reach a service ceiling at 65,000 feet. Airbus Eurofighter is truly a formidable jet entering the fight, but is it the best choice for India to face a two-front war against China and Pakistan? Eurofighter is up against the world's leading fighter jets, all vying for the Indian Air Force contract, including the French Rafale, Sweden's Gripen, and the American F-15, while Russia could yet enter the fray with either the MiG-35 or the Sukhoi Su-35. Some reports have even suggested the American F-21. So, can the Eurofighter emerge on top in this battle of the Titans? Or will the Rafale once again emerge as the winner for this Indian contract? Or should India, the world's top defense importer since the 1990s, just buy the world's most advanced fighter jet, the stealthy and lethal 5th generation F-35? Now we will get you all the details, but first let's quickly take a look and understand what's the Indian MRFA contract and why the world's leading defense manufacturers are lining up to win this deal. Indian Air Force's medium multi-role fighter aircraft or MRFA procurement deal is one of a kind. India is keen on inducting 114 fighter aircraft in its fleet, and that too as soon as possible. India always faces a war-like threat on two fronts. On one side is the expansionist China, which not only attempts to salami slice Indian territory, but is most likely to spark World War III in the South China Sea. On the other side is Pakistan, a military-controlled state which always threatens to escalate tensions despite losing two wars to India, 1965 and 1971, the last of which resulted in its breakup and the formation of Bangladesh. The Indian Air Force needs 42 squadrons to face this dual threat, but current Indian squadron strength is 32. The IAF desperately needs cutting-edge fighter jets to face the threats of the Chinese fighters like the stealthy J-20. Now, India is developing its own Tejas Mk1A and Tejas Mk2, which is still half a dozen years away. The MRFA deal was first unveiled in 2007 as MMRCA, or Medium Multi-Role Combat Aircraft Procurement Program, when the Eurofighter and the French Rafale emerged as the top two contenders for the 126 jet contract. Rafale emerged victorious due to the, quote, lower life cycle cost, but instead of 126 jets, India ultimately bought only 36 Rafale in a flyaway condition. In 2018, the MRFA contract was revived and bids were invited. Soon, the Indian Air Force will decide which fighter jet will be the tip of the spear for the Indian military for decades ahead. The battle between the world's top fighter jets is once again about to begin. So, let's check out the contenders in detail, starting with the Eurofighter Typhoon. Is the Airbus Typhoon coming to India? Now, the Airbus Eurofighter Typhoon has been one of the biggest contenders since the inception of the MMRCA deal in 2007. The biggest hurdle with this aircraft is the astronomical price of $108 million a piece, which is significantly higher than others, including the French Rafale. Though the stealthiness qualities, BVR capabilities, climb rate, top speed, etc., they are also way better than its competitors. The sky-high price may keep it away from the Indian fleet. But if we believe recent reports, Airbus is trying hard to sustain its plans across 4 nations. After all, the Eurofighter is a joint collaboration between 4 countries, including the United Kingdom, Germany, Spain, and Italy. Reports suggest Airbus needs money to sustain its operations. Stealing the MRFA deal with India may go a long way in keeping the project afloat. Now, this means that Airbus may offer additional incentives to the Indian Air Force for the Eurofighter Typhoon to be inducted into the Indian fleet. Now, here's a quick comparison between the top contenders. Now, these are the jets that have entered the fray already. Eurofighter is by far the most expensive option, followed by Rafale and then the Swedish Gripen. However, Eurofighter boasts the best top speed, service ceiling, and climb rate, but the Rafale provides nearly the same benefits at a much more reasonable cost. Sweden's Gripen, however, is priced nearly half of the other two. So, who has the edge? Will the Indian Air Force go for Rafale once again, since it already operates the French fighter? It will also go a long way in strengthening the strategic partnership between India and France. The Indian Navy has also initiated a $6 billion deal with Dassault to buy 24 Rafale Marine fighter jets for for its indigenous aircraft carrier INS Vikram. Now, Rafale is one of the most amazing and fierce competitors on this list. The Indian Air Force currently flies 36 of these beautiful beasts. This gives Dassault an edge in this colossal competition. It obviously presents a great opportunity for the French company to sell more Rafale fighters to India, especially if reports are to be believed, with Dassault considering opening a production line in India for the Rafale fighter. But the Indian government did decide to reduce the number of Rafale from 126 to 36 earlier. Maybe it was the cost. Maybe the IAF needs a more potent jet to challenge fifth-generation fighter jets that China is currently building not just for itself, but even for Pakistan, including the J-20 and the FC-31. Though Rafale has an edge, the fight for the MRFA deal this time will not be easy to win. Meanwhile, Sweden's Gripen is battling hard for the Indian defense contract. Saab has offered both single-seater Gripen E and twin-engine Gripen F to India. Saab has also hinted at setting up a production line in India with a domestic partner to meet the IAF's timeline. Still, Saab's Gripen is said to be behind the Rafale in the pecking order. However, tech transfer is going to be the key to win this Indian defense contract. In 2019, the Indian Air Force chief had stated that the winning bidder will have to ensure technology transfer as the jets will be manufactured in India under the Make in India initiative. This virtually rules out the world's leading fighter jet, the fifth generation F-35. Now, the cost is also a huge factor, with reports suggesting that each F-35 is priced nearly double than that of a Rafale. Still, at a time when China is building its own fifth-generation fleet with J-20s, and Pakistan, which is also existing on bailouts from friends and the IMF, is also acquiring a fifth-generation stealth fighter, the JF-31, from China, then shouldn't the soon-to-be world's third biggest economy, India, also buy the world's best fifth-generation fighter jet like the F-35? However, Indian Air Force and the DRDO are confident in the capacities of their indigenous stealth fighter, the AMCA, which is still realistically a decade away. However, another American fighter jet is in the race, with Boeing pitching the F-15EX. The aircraft is suitable for long-range missions and can carry up to 22 missiles per mission. Now, this is similar to IAF's Sukhoi 30 MKI flankers in terms of payload, but with modern avionics and weapon systems. Reports suggest the F-15EX is cheaper than the Rafale, and Indian weapons could also be integrated on this fighter jet. However, the biggest hurdle is that the Indian Air Force has traditionally operated either Russian or French fighter jets. Opting for Boeing's F-15EX will mean setting up an entirely new supporting ecosystem. But what about Russian jets like the MiG-35 or the Sukhoi Su-35? Now, while Russia traditionally has been the biggest supplier of weapon systems to India, the ongoing war in Ukraine and tensions with the West have seen India reduce its share of Russian imports. The questions also remain whether Russia would be able to meet such a huge defense order, with India already facing delays in deliveries of S-400 and stealth frigates from Russia. But a production line in India could solve this issue, as the HAL has the experience of building the Sukhoi 30 MKI in India. Such a massive India-Russia deal could also throw a spanner in the booming India-US defense partnership. But the Indian Air Force has recently been hesitant when it comes to Russia, with Moscow offering the more advanced Su-57 and then the Su-75 Checkmate to India. While Russia is pitching the Su-75 as a challenger to the American F-35, no deal with India has taken shape so far. All in all, the MRFA deal seems like a sluggish process. It was initially started in 2007, revived in 2018, and still no decision has been made. Some reports had started to surface that the IAF may completely abandon the process and instead entirely focus on its own fifth-generation AMCA program. But if the IAF does go ahead, then the biggest question is, which among the contenders will give India the edge over its enemies, not today, but in 10, 15 or 20 years down the line? Will it be the Eurofighter, Rafale, the Gripen, or the fifth generation F-35? Now, what do you believe should be India's pick? Leave a comment below, and if you like this news report, then subscribe to our channel and hit the like button.